Yes, I am. Thank
Okay,
you.
just making sure. All right. Thank you.
All right, Bonnie, again, sorry for the delay, but why don't we get started?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because my CEO has been back from medical leave and being here with us full time, and he was trying to get on as well. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have him join us today because of the difficulty on the Zoom link. At any rate, but thank you so much for hosting us today. The Sidoti team has been great, so thank you. Spectra7, let me share with you, we are listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange and also on OTCQB. And of course, my presentation today may contain some forward-looking statements, so thank you. All right, so Spectra7 at a glance. In 2010, we were a Canadian shell that was public, and a couple of other companies in 2012 reverse merged into it. This is the reason why we're a Canadian company. However, we are headquarters in the San Jose, California, in the Silicon Valley. And of course, we're in the semiconductor mile. So in having said that, we are a leader in the high performance analog semiconductor products for broadband connectivity markets. And what does that mean? It is a analog chip that actually go into a connector of a cable using copper as the medium, and to allow it to be very thin and transmit very high speed connectivity. Now, being in the industry for 18 years, I can share with you that analog is forever difficult to do because you can manipulate with maybe hardware, software, in a digital sense, but analog is very difficult to achieve. And now that we have achieved it, the application is many. So I'd love to share a little bit more with you on that. We are backed by 55 US issued patents. And so again, our technology, I will share with you how it's proven and works in many areas. As a company that is a microcap, I can share also very excited about the company being able to support our tier one customers, Tencent, Sumitomo, Molex, Foxconn, and the like. And the ability to support them in going to mass production and delivering over 45 devices since the inception of this company is not a small feat. So why Spectra7? The timing is definitely now. We're in a highly differentiated solution, in a fast-growing market. The revenue trend for us in 2022 is 11.3 million compared to 5.5 a year ago. It's 106% year over year. And of course, comparing to 2020, it was also a major leap for the company. It is the best time. And why is that? It's because 5-6 years ago, our CEO, Raouf Halim, has a vision, and he's just joined the company then, is taking our technology to apply it to the data center market. And in 2021, we started going into that market with 2 chips and have been able to serve tier one customer like Tencent. And that has given us a great growth into the market and a stronghold in making tractions with a number of other data center operators. This market is huge. This market for us in the segment that we could address is $1 billion by 2026. As a microcap, we're very excited with the technology that we have in a very highly leverageable, fabless model, and therefore it's very lean and very scalable. The proven technology that I've talked about, 12 years in the industry with 55 US issue patents, the areas that we address, we'll talk a little bit more, but in 2021, our AR/VR design win went into production for a top global game console manufacturer. And we're rapidly scaling our revenue. So this is the best time to take a look at us, and we are very excited about our growth. The address market, and as I said, our chip is basically an analog chip that goes onto a cable and enable the high-speed connectivity. So the areas that we've been to and supported our customer have been in the consumer connectivity. That's how we started the company with HDMI. And then AR/VR, we actually were the supplier of choice when Oculus was growing. And then again, 2021, we had our design win with a top global game console manufacturer, and also became their sole source. Data center is where we're going to see significant growth for us because it is a huge market. However, remember, our chip is, again, a analog chip that goes onto a copper medium, which is ubiquitous, and other areas that could go into our automotive switching systems and 5G infrastructure. In going back to 2021, where we have the top game console manufacturer selecting Spectra7 to deliver this cable for them, or actually to enable their cable, if you will, use basically our chipset in the Dreamweaver product line. And this enable a 5K resolution connection, going from the console connection that transmit this immersion experience, rich content, that instead of seeing it on a gaming platform on your screen, you can now see it on this headset. And that was enabled with 3 of our chips in this set. But what's really going to grow for us is going to be the data center. That's going to leapfrog the company. Hyperscale to lift, to have to spend about $377 billion in 2026, according to Delaware, just to meet the YouTube generation, AI, big data demand on data. So if you take a look at North America and Asia, we have tractions and a relationship with each and every one of them. And of course, on the right-hand bottom corner, Tencent is a customer that's already in production. So why is there an opportunity for a Spectra7? And the reason is, if you think about data center, the data center data rate is continuing to go up. And as data rate goes up, I guess the incumbent is the passive copper, which is a direct attach copper, is what they call it, DAC. And it basically is just a copper cable attached to the connectors, and that attaches, between the switches and the servers within the data center. There are also optical that serve the data center market, but as the data center needs higher speed, you can see that the passive copper started getting impairment in the connection. The data rate continue to increase, and more frequency going into the cable, and you can see that the 1 and 0 become attenuated, and you can no longer tell what information is being passed through this cable. For the copper, in order to do that, it needs to either shorten it or both, shorten it and making it thinner. So making it thicker. So by the time it gets to 800 gig, it is a good 1.5, only a 1.5 meter. And 1.5 meter barely goes, 5 feet. So it's very short and very difficult for the data center to use. And this is where we start seeing an opportunity for us. Remember, our chip enable a copper cable to go ultra thin and high speed. So if passive copper cannot deliver the service, and that's the incumbent, is going to be transmitting or transitioning into an active solution. And the active solution also have substitute products. Those are optical cables. As we know, optical fiber has been there a while. It's serving very long distance, and it uses a laser converter as well as a digital signal processor in order to transmit and get the data from the beginning of the cable to the end of the cable. Active electrical cable also needs a digital signal processor. They do not use fiber optics. They use also the copper cable. But because they use a digital signal processor, they are also very high cost, high power consumption, and also high latency. And of course, they need to be configured. So when we take a look at 10 gig, 25 gig, 40 gig, or 100 gig, the power disparity between the optical, electrical, or cables enabled with our chip is not that big. However, as the data rate goes up, this is how elegant our product is. The cable is only using 2.4 watts, comparing to optical cable using 28 watts and AEC use 20 watts. So this is definitely a very compelling reasons why they would need that we see our products to be the choice for our data center operators as they're doing away with the passive copper and making us to be the choice. Now, also, I'm going to talk about comparison. Not only do they get the power savings comparing to, for example, an active electrical cable, they could also get a faster latency, very low latency. So if we think about AEC, they use a digital signal processor, and they actually need to have 3 links going from the switch into the cable from one end to the other, and from the other end of the cable into the server. And with that, it requires some time and latency. CapEx is definitely a lot higher because they're using, very, very strong and, digital signal processor. Now, where they have a place, I'm sure they have a place in the solution for data center operators. But, if you're just looking for a cable that is top of the rack that needs to be less than 4 meters, then why would you need to pay more to get less? And this is exactly why we think that we have such a great, compelling reasons. But how does this translate into savings? Well, if we just think about 17 watts per cable, that didn't seem like a lot. But when you have 100,000 servers in a hyperscale data center, which is pretty typical, it adds up to 3.5 megawatts a year. And that translates to 17.6 million per year if you use 5,000 per year in kilowatt cost. And so again, 17.6 million savings, and it does not even count the energy that you have to use in order to cool the data center. It is definitely a great savings. So how big is the market? According to 650 Group, it's a $3 billion market by 2026 for all of data center interconnect, and that they believe 2/3 is going to be active and active copper. So from this revenue perspective, and looking at us being a leader in the space, we believe that the segment addressable market, again, that would be the top of the rack connection, going from, again, if you see aisles and aisles of servers and switches, the switches is sitting on top, and it's really about addressing the market where the application would be from the top of the rack down to each one of the servers. And that is exceeding $1 billion by 2026. So recall, we are already in our 3rd generation chip that target this market. It is not easy to do. And so even minimal market penetration would enable us to achieve significant revenue growth. And we have high confidence that we will take a good share of that market. Our revenue growth target is 60% over 4-year CAGR. And because our fabless manufacturing model does not require a lot of CapEx and investment, is definitely very scalable, we target a gross margin 60 to 65% and EBITDA margin of 25 to 30%. So key financial highlights, as of January 6th, and thank goodness, this past week, our stock actually have gone very well and responded to our pre-announce yesterday on our revenue for the year and our forecast. Share price was at 50 cents. Market capitalization, market cap was about 12.6 million, with a trailing 12 months, which is 2022 revenue estimated with our pre-announce at 11.3 million. We think that there's definitely room to grow in our market cap, and our insider ownership is 16.4%. Convertible debt on the balance sheet is 6.6 million, and we currently have 33.7 million shares. Now, on the gross margin, I wanted to point out our target is 60 to 65%. And in 2022, we heroically were able to get the supply. As you all know, that was a very major setback for a lot of companies not being able to deliver. And we were able to pay premium and expedited fees in order to satisfy the needs of our top game console manufacturer, because customer satisfaction is #1 for us, and had taken a gross margin hit down to 43% for the first 6 months. But we have since recovered. In Q4, we believe our gross margin in the preliminary financials is in excess a little bit more than 58%. So a blended rate of 50%. So I think our target of 60 60 to 65% target for margin is definitely doable. Okay, I think that's it. We'd love to have you join us and share with us any information that you would like additionally in the future, sending us an email at ir@spectra7.com. Really appreciate your time. Jim, are we open for questions?
Yeah, we do have some questions. If you have a few minutes, that would be great. And again, I'm sorry about the delay to the start, but
and
the
Bonnie,
first
it's
question.
Raouf. I'm sorry, Bonnie, it's Raouf. I've just joined as well.
Great.
So I'll be able to help with Q&A. Thank you.
Oh, great,
Wonderful.
great. So first question, in the past, you've talked about Microsoft testing your products for the US market, but you had mentioned some compatibility issues. Can you comment on where things stand with Microsoft for now?
Yeah, so let me share with that. So we go back to this list of logos, if you will. We are in a good connection and traction in discussions with all of our customers. And one thing about the U.S. data center market, wanted to mention is that they are looking for a higher density switch and equipment for better throughput and bandwidth. Obviously, if they could spend less in buying equipment, it would probably help their costs, right? And so what they are doing, what North America market is going right now, and I think this is what the researchers are also showing, is that they're going for a higher density data center equipment. So it would be the switches and NIC, and which are due out second half of 2023 for production. Our understanding is that they're minimal amount for testing at the moment, but they're just going into qualification. So with that, we have been in tight contact with all of our target end customers, along with our cable partners, to make sure that our product is going to meet their needs. So that is ongoing.
All right. The next question, can you talk about your distribution? Do you have direct people, or how do you get your product out there?
Yes. So, we applied multiple, 3 different versions of this. The first is really us having tight relationships with each and every one of them. Our CMO knows everybody in the industry. Our team generally have relationship with everybody in the industry, so that we have the ability to talk to our cable partners to respond to RFQs. We also have ability to talk with our end customers, creating demands and going to the cable manufacturer and together put together the cable to meet for their qualification. The second is we go through a distribution channel. So we do have distribution channel that goes through to Asia, particularly in Asia, when a lot of these activities are also happening to also drive demand.
Okay, then we have a question about your listing. Are there any thoughts about upgrading to the US, one of the US markets?
Yeah, personally, I've been involved with 2 IPOs and 1 de-SPAC process. And one of the key things for me to do for Spectra7 is to uplist. As you know, we're a Toronto Stock Exchange, Venture Exchange listed company. In order to uplist to the US, actually is not a very difficult process, because they have what they call an MJDS, a multi-jurisdictional disclosure system between the Canadian Exchange and the SEC. We do need to meet a certain public float requirement, as well as stock price level requirement. And once that's met, which is probably going to be driven by both the market as well as our revenue growth, we will be ready, and that would be a very simple application for 30 days, and we will become an SEC registrant. So there is a target, is whenever it is ready, I am ready, or that we are ready.
All right, next one, is there anything more you can say about your traction with North American data center operators?
Yeah, this time, like I said, majority and all of them are reviewing, they're also qualifying the equipment that's being in place. So, we hope to have good news to share with you. The only thing we can say right now is that we are in tight contact with them.
Okay, and then Raouf, it looks like you're back full time. Are there any comments you want to make? I'm sorry that we didn't get to you earlier.
No problem. Yeah, we had some kind of connectivity issues. Yeah, the comments I'd like to make is I'm very excited about where we are and where we're going, particularly from here. the company has continued to execute in the months that I was out, and now is a very, very good place. I'm looking forward to the balance of this year. I think we have great traction and a great prospect in the US, particularly in the second half of this year. So very excited about where we are and where we're going.
Okay, great.
Thank
Great.
you.
All right. I guess I think that's it for now. But if you you do have questions, you can email them to me at jsidoti at jsidoti@sidoti.com, and I will forward it to management. Or you can contact management directly. I know they're taking meetings today, so hopefully they can squeeze you in. Thank you very much
Absolutely.
for presenting, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.